What's up, Warriors fans? It's your main man, Max, here with Warriors Latest. As always, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you like what you hear, as I do post new Warriors videos daily. Now, it's been a bit of a quiet 24 hours in Dub Nation. However, we did have some interesting information come out. Specifically, that the Warriors are interested in Nic Claxton in a potential Jonathan Kuminga trade with the Nets. Now, I look at this potential rumor that's going around and I wonder, is it something that somebody got from a low-level Warrior employee, or is it just a slow news day item that some blogger put out there just for a general trade idea? Now, let's look at it. Now, we see that the Warriors do need a big man, and Nic Claxton really provides that value in the middle. Young, athletic, can run up and down the floor, can borderline average a double-double, but his biggest problem is his large contract as well as the duration of that contract. And that's why I'm questionable of buying into this kind of deal, not only because of like the contract issues, his size of his contract and things like that, but overall this deal is going to include Jonathan Kuminga going to the Nets. And I think about this and I look at what the Nets have. They've done a lot to sort of take in bad contracts and as well and bring in draft picks as well. So I don't know how this would fit with what the Nets are trying to do. Now we know the Nets are trying to really bottom out moving forward and capitalize on the draft picks that they have. For me, I'm not buying this. It just seems like a slow news day item and something that really isn't worth your time because the Warriors aren't going to trade for a guy who's making $25 million a year, plays for the middle, and just goes past their current timeline. Like after what we saw with the offer that the Warriors made for Jonathan Kuminga yesterday with that 2-year deal at $20 million a year, it really shows that they're focused in on that 2-year timeline for Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy Butler trying to win one more title. So any contracts beyond that, the Warriors aren't really interested in taking on unless they're very small contracts. I'm trying to figure out since the Lakers are doing the same thing, they're signing guys to 2-year deals, who they're going after. Now, we do know Joker is going to become a free agent soon, but I don't see him coming to the Bay Area. It just seems more and more likely that if he leaves Denver, he's going to LA. And honestly, who'd blame him? The beaches of LA, the shining lights of LA, and getting to play next to Luka Doncic is a very big draw. Now we look at where the Warriors are going to be at the end of that window. It's just going to be a complete crater of cap space. Now, by that, I mean that in a good way, because the Warriors are going to have a ton of cap space in the summer of 2027, and that's going to play to their advantage because people do want to be in California. The Bay Area is beautiful, and they will find ways to bring in more free agents, and that's where I think they're going to build moving forward. But that's why I don't really buy into the whole Nic Claxton to the Warriors idea. However, another slow news day article that I did see was very concerning, and it really grinds my gears down to my core. And that is that the Warriors' next number that they're going to retire is Kevin Durant's. And this is over other Warriors legends. We're talking the likes of Jason Richardson, Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, Paul Arizin, my grandfather, Jumpin' Joe Fulks, Tom Gola, guys who are much more deserving than Kevin Durant to have their number retired with the Warriors. Now, I have to admit, I did have a problem with Andre Iguodala's number getting retired over the likes of Paul Arizin or Jumpin' Joe Fulks first, because Iguodala, yes, he is a important staple with the Warriors dynasty, but that's it. He hasn't really done anything else in his career to really deserve his number retiring. He's a single-time All-Star, has no accolades, isn't going into the Hall of Fame, isn't top 75, isn't top 50, top 35, nothing like that. He was just a very important sixth man to their title run, and I get it. Very important to the team culture, very smart player, but come on, man. There's a way these things go about. Having your number retired used to mean something. Now you're just retiring numbers for the sake of retiring numbers. Now, I'm not saying Iguodala didn't deserve it. He just didn't deserve it as soon as last season. And now for them to go on, say Kevin Durant is going to get his jersey retired next, and I'm just saying, what? He was with the team for 3 years. Don't get me wrong. He contributed greatly to the 2 titles in 3 years, and even though they lost that third one against the Raptors, he still played a big factor in getting there. But you look at his career since leaving the Warriors, he's been to the Nets, he's been to the Suns, and now he's with the Rockets, who are going to be a problem for the Warriors moving forward. And do you really want to retire his number next if he's the guy that takes the Warriors out in the first or second round of these next 2 playoffs? I don't think so. So I'm not a big fan of this whole let's retire the recency bias guys, the guys who have been here recently, helped win during the dynasty versus the guys who actually deserve it. Now we look at the other guys, Jumpin' Joe Fulks, the first all-star, the first star that the Warriors ever had and helped them win their title in 1947. Okay, he looks deserving. He's a Hall of Famer, helped get the jump shot started, and really helped the team get off the ground. Now after that, we've got Paul Arizin, guy who basically popularized the jump shot, won 2 scoring titles with the team, and led them to the 56th title, as well as being part of the top 50 and 75 team. So there are other guys. And then you've got Tom Gola, a lifelong warrior. I mean, if you're going to do lifelong warriors, look, I understand doing Iguodala as a lifelong warrior, but you got to include the other lifelong warriors as well. And Tom Gola was a multi-time All-Star, and he was a great college and great NBA player. So if you're going to retire numbers, go for guys who have actually been here longer and actually contributed to the Warriors' early success for a long period of time over a guy who was pretty much a mercenary, came in here, put in his 3 years, and then left. I'm sorry, you just can't do that. That's just unacceptable. It just completely devalues the idea of having your jersey retired, because that's reserved to the best of the team. Guys who really stuck it out and were part of the culture. Kevin Durant is not part of the Warriors culture. He was just a beneficiary of it, hands down. Now, don't get me wrong. I appreciate everything he did with the Warriors, but he's not part of the Warriors culture. He was a mercenary. Now, speaking of mercenaries, some interesting news has come out, and I specifically noticed it in the comment section of my last few videos, and that is the influence of Joe Lacob now within the Warriors' decision-making process. Now, previously, Lacob has taken a hands-off approach, and this is back when Bob Myers was things. And I'm wondering, we know Lacob liked to be hands-off with Bob Myers, but through the comments you guys have been giving me, I'm really starting to wonder, is he really having a more hands-on role now that Bob Myers is no longer with the team? Is he having more influence over Mike Dunleavy? Is he allowing his sons Kirk and Kent to have more influence, say, on the Santa Cruz decisions as well as the decisions over Mike Dunleavy? And it brings concerns for me, because I've seen what overzealous owners can do. I grew up a Yankees fan. I saw what George Steinbrenner can do when you're too involved with a team and you don't let the process play itself out. And I think this might be happening because of how slow the Jonathan Kuminga situation has been going. Now, after you guys commented on it and kept saying, oh, it's not Dunleavy, it's Lacob, he's the one making the decisions now. I looked more into it and I'm like, okay, I see some articles where it's all right, Jonathan Kuminga and Joe Lacob are like that. Now, that is a problem for the Warriors and their championship aspirations, because it prevents them from making a deal to get Kuminga out there and put him in a situation where he can thrive, as well as get good pieces back in exchange for him. Now, if Lacob is really just holding back for the very best to trade Jonathan Kuminga, this is going to be a very, very difficult summer moving forward, because good relationships can hurt championship aspirations. Now, if, say, he didn't have a good relationship with Kuminga, he probably would have been traded by now, and the Warriors would have gone out and signed all of the players that they need to build their championship roster for next year and the year after. Now, with that timeline, they know that they can only sign guys for 1 to 2 years. But with Kuminga, he wants a long-term deal, so they have to trade him out. But now his relationship's getting in the way. But bottom line is, if Joe Lacob really is having an overzealous involvement with management in terms of their offseason decisions, it's time for him to get hands off. Because enough is enough, and Kuminga has to move on. We saw him reject that 2-year offer just the other day. And waiting for a great offer, especially when training camp is only weeks away, is it going to help you win another NBA championship? Because now that training camp's getting closer and closer, a lot of these minimum guys that were going to fill out the rest of the roster with Jimmy, Draymond, and Steph are going to get off the board very quickly. We talk about the dog days of August. A lot of those guys are going to get signed maybe first, second, third week of August, and then going into the first week of September, they're ready to go for training camp. And I don't want the Warriors to miss out on those minimum guys that they can get for those 2 years and fit into that timeline. Because we look at who the Warriors are facing coming out of the West, it's a lot tougher than it was last year. And if the Warriors don't start off hot, I don't know if their championship aspirations are going to reach their total height and they're going to win a title. So, Joe Lacob, do us all a favor. If you're being very hands-on right now, just take your hands off for a little bit. Let management do what they need to do and build a competent championship roster so Steph can win at least one more before he hangs up the sneakers. Now, that's all we have today for Warriors Latest. As always, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you like what you heard, as I do post new Warriors content daily. And if you have any comments on what I've said today or have any ideas on what the Warriors should do, feel free to do it below, as I love hearing your ideas and commenting as well on your ideas too. And as always, go Dubs.